Welcome back to Day 2 of the 2021 Texas Workforce Commission Virtual Forum. Enjoy your session, and remember, complete the survey for each session that you attend. These surveys will be sent to you via email at the end of each session.
I would now like to introduce your speakers for today. Jasmine Hernandez, Workforce Outreach Specialist, Lower Rio Grande Valley. Myrna Garcia, Workforce Outreach Specialist, Workforce Solutions, Lower Rio Grande Valley. And Lori Knight, Educational Outreach Manager, Texas Workforce Commission. You guys now have the floor.
Great, thank you. So hello and thank you everyone for joining us today for our section of Workforce Solutions Going Beyond the Distance Learning. So just to touch a little bit about my role as Workforce Outreach Specialist with Workforce Solutions, our goal is to empower students to help them make a more informed decision about their career future. And the way that we do that is through our services, such as providing career services to help guide the students towards high demand occupations, as well as providing them with information on labor market information data and post-secondary education options. Additionally, some of the partners that we work with include school districts, colleges, universities, employers, community partners, and also school district employees. We serve students and parents because obviously parents help guide their children, and they also help the children stay engaged. We also serve counselors, teachers, administrators, regional level staff, as well as the general community. We also tailor our presentations for various group sizes and venues depending on the needs of our partners. So for example, we work in classrooms, small groups, large assemblies, and now just recently, we have moved and pivoted to virtual presentations. Some of those platforms include Zoom, Google Meet, GoToMeeting, as well as Microsoft Teams. So when we talk about presentations, we're also referring to the various types of presentations, such as workshops. We also conduct one-on-one career counseling sessions with students and with parents. We provide walkthroughs, and we even do train-the-trainer sessions, where we provide information about career information and post-secondary education options. We also provide students with information on how to explore careers, as well as their post-secondary options. So the students can be aware of the various different types of careers available. It's important for them to understand and learn how to use labor market information data. So the way that we do this is we provide information on how they can best utilize this labor market information data. And we also provide platforms and information on how they can extract this information and use this information in their everyday life. In addition to that, we also provide information on various different types of post-secondary information. And we can also sit on advisory boards if our partners would like that. We can also introduce this information regarding labor market information data and how that information can translate into career exploration. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the tools and resources that we provide for career exploration. So we provide resources that can assist students to learn more about labor market information data. We review the importance with them of understanding the trends and how students can utilize this data to make a more informed decision about their careers. When it comes to labor market information data, students can obtain information based on location, education, level required by each career, entry-level wages and salaries, projected career growth, job openings, work experience, and skills needed. So students can also utilize this data to see if their career of interest is in demand or not. In addition, students can also utilize these tools to help them navigate through real-time employment opportunities to get a better idea of what those career opportunities are currently paying. And this is just a small part of their career exploration journey, but a very important one. So some of the platforms that we utilize to provide the students with the most they can also browse careers, take assessments, browse programs, and even build a really professional and polished-looking resume with the resume builder feature that is included in the Career Coach platform. Additionally, we have ONUS, which was developed by the U.S. Department of Labor and contains standardized specific descriptors that is broken down by occupation, career clusters, career pathways, and STEM careers. And this helps provide the students with appropriate labor marketing. So LMI data is great to use and to help students become more familiarized with background on particular industries, occupations, and labor market information trends. In addition to that is the Texas Career Check. So Texas Career Check is an exploration tool. It's built for students to help them research different careers and schools. So it has various options, such as ways to identify their work-related interests with the interest profiler that is included in this particular platform. It also provides detailed information on various occupations. It provides occupation trends and even a way to compare occupations by offering them up-to-date information. And it also provides the information on various schools, programs of study, as well as tools to help them generate their high school graduation plan, which is great when they're working with counselors in their school district. Last but not least is Texas Reality Check, which is another platform which includes a career search for high school students. This provides a ton of information on hundreds of different types of jobs. It also provides information on how much they pay, how popular they are, and what the need of study is in order to qualify for those particular opportunities. So we've spoken to several employers, and the consensus is that the biggest employability skills that job seekers are lacking are soft skills. In today's world, many of our interactions are limited, so therefore making soft skills even more important than ever. These skills allow the individual the ability to communicate effectively, work as a team, problem solve, and even exhibit work ethic. Soft skills are an important part of interpersonal and relationship building skills that go way beyond just the technical skills. These skills are essential to obtaining and maintaining employment. So just a quick fact. According to a Harvard study, 85% of one's success at the workplace is attributed to soft skills, and only 15% to technical skills. So with that in mind, a great tool to help prepare students for the workforce is our Job Readiness Curriculum. The Job Readiness Curriculum helps prepare participants for success in the workplace. This Job Readiness Curriculum was created by one of our very own colleagues, Claude Leal. It is completely free to everyone and can be accessed through the Workforce Solutions website. The Job Readiness Curriculum is comprised of 13 modules, which focuses on the development of soft skills to help prepare the students or any participant that is undergoing this particular curriculum for success in the workplace. Recently, we have added an additional 3 modules focused on teaching students with disabilities about self-advocacy, career exploration, as well as transition resources. South Texas and Workforce Solutions have partnered to provide participants with a certificate of completion and the corresponding continuing education unit. For those who complete a minimum of 12 contact hours and up to 40 hours of the Job Readiness Curriculum, participants will be awarded the corresponding CEU, which translates to 1 CEU for every 10 contact hours. So another great resource that Workforce Solutions offers is Interview Stream Prep, which students can utilize to practice their virtual mock interviews. This tool can be utilized to practice for employment interviews, college admissions, scholarship interviews, and they can also practice for mentorship or internship opportunity interviews as well. Some of the capabilities of this particular platform include customizable questions that can be curated to meet specific needs. It's also very conducive to distance learning. It provides expert tips in webinars, and it is fully PC and mobile compatible. Some of the benefits of this platform also include the ability to provide feedback for the interviewee. educators and mentors with helping them assist students with polishing and perfecting their responses, and can also help students practice and enhance those essential soft skills. So a few other key components or features for this particular platform that I'd like to mention is that it consists of a self-assessment tool where students can go back, watch their interviews, and conduct a self-assessment of themselves. It also has a filler word counter, which filler words are repetitive words that tend to be used during nervousness, just to kind of go back in conversation. So they will be more cognizant of the amount of time that their filler words are being utilized because they're able to go back and count those filler words. Either the individual conducting the assessment or the interviewee themselves, they can also add comments throughout the duration of going back and viewing the interview. So it's a really great platform for practicing those virtual mock interviews. So another way in which we have pivoted to help meet the needs of our partners and educators is through Google Workspace. Here, I'm going to allow my colleague, Ms. Jasmine Hernandez, one of my workforce outreach specialist colleagues, to provide a live tour of the Google Workspace and review what information it contains and how it can be utilized.
Thank you, Irene. So hi, everyone. So when the pandemic hit, we had to pivot quickly so we could make sure that we kept up to date with everything, and they were able to provide all the services to the students as we were before. So we joined Google Workspace, which was Google Suites beforehand. And we created drives for the specific districts that we work with and also with for community partners, I'm sorry. So within the drives, we have several folders. One of them is the community resources, which contains information for our local community. The second folder has information on endorsements, and some information was also obtained from the LMCI website. This is super neat because middle school and high school students get to see this firsthand, and then counselors have access to that, not only during the day when we're working, but they can access all this information in the evenings, on the weekends, and on holidays. We also transferred over and we were able to work with the Job Readiness Curriculum and make it into a Google format where teachers can access this information and then also incorporate it into their Google Classroom. So we have the curriculum overview here for them to see, which contains all the information on the Job Readiness Curriculum that Irene was talking about, the outline of the modules, and then if they are from our local area, they get to see the information needed to request for their students to obtain CEUs. And then we broke down each module into different folders. Within each folder, we have two different folders. One of them is the teacher material, which contains the facilitator notes. So they will see the breakdown of the whole module, how much time they need to take for each activity, the answer keys, all that neat information. So they do not have to worry about anything in regards to that. And then we have the student material. So all the activities, all the handouts, the pre-test, the post-test, they're all included in here. So if a student is going to take a pre-test, the teacher can just issue it out to the student and they're going to see it like this. All the student has to do is complete the test, then click submit, and it gets graded automatically. The teachers do not have to worry about grading anything or anything like that. And then if they do use it in their Google Classroom, the grades are imported automatically, so that's something less that they have to worry about. Besides that, we also have our, let's go here, our student assignments. So as Irene was stating, we work with a lot of the tools that LMCI created, like Texas Reality Check. So to make sure that the students actually comprehend and they can retain that information, we also created video tutorials so they can go step by step and they can pause it, they can restart it, they can go on to do it as they may need to. And then if the teacher wants to quiz them later on to see if they actually completed the tool, they also have an opportunity to issue them out a pre-test or a post-test. And we also have some handouts that we created based on the information that we gathered from the tool, where students can note down their information on what they obtained depending on the occupation that they were interested in and the location. And this can be used as a participation grade, but not only that, it helps them retain all that great information that they learned. It's very different when you see it on the screen than when you start writing it down, and then it hits them with the reality, right? Now we're going to go back with Ms. Irene so she can talk about our employer interviews library.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. So also available through Google Workspace is our collection of employer interviews. We have compiled an array of interviews ranging from various different career industries and education within different education levels. But within each interview folder for you to find will be a pre-recorded interview and then the corresponding quiz. So next, I'm going to hand it over to my co-presenter, Ms. Lorena Knight of Texas Workforce Commission. Lorena.
Thank you, Irene. So welcome, everyone. And I know some of you may be asking, like, these are wonderful resources, and that's great for all the students out in the McAllen and Lower Rio Grande Valley area, but, you know, how can I use this to help my students? So first, I want to say all of the resources that the ladies are sharing with you, their Google Classroom, the Job Readiness Curriculum, anyone can have access to this. This team has graciously offered to share these resources with anyone. So I highly encourage you to reach out to Myrna and to Jasmine if you like the resources and you want to use them in your own classroom. But when it comes to actual presentations, workshops, professional development sessions, Jasmine's team is limited to the McAllen or Lower Rio Grande Valley area, but we get you covered because there is an outreach team located within the Texas Workforce Commission. We cover the entire state of Texas. But just like Jasmine's team, we also ran a pilot program that was launched 2 summers ago, where 7 different regions, including the Lower Rio Grande Valley, were awarded a grant to grow their own education outreach teams. Now, these 7 regions, and I'm going to pinpoint where they are in just a minute here, but these 7 teams initially started the pilot by partnering with 61 different ISDs in those different regions. We had over 30 specialists who were hired to duplicate the work of education outreach. And particularly, sorry, my dog sees a squirrel outside of the window, but particularly these specialists were trained to partner with existing staff within the ISDs and the campuses that they work with. So we're not there to duplicate or take over any services. We're there to supplement and complement all of those resources that are already available on campuses. So the 7 teams that were awarded the grant in this initial pilot were Northeast Texas, which is out in the Texarkana area, West Central Texas in Abilene, the Borderplex area in El Paso, Capital area, which is essentially Austin, is Olive Travis County, and then Jasmine and her team out in the Lower Rio Grande Valley, McAllen area, Central Texas, which is the Temple Belton area, and then Gulf Coast, which is out in Houston and its surrounding area as well. So those are the teams that started the education outreach extension, but I'm happy to say, if we go to the next slide here, we're growing. So there are some additional regions who are now building out teams of their own. The Texas Workforce Commission agency was gracious in allowing all 28 regions or our area who were interested in building their own education outreach teams to use TANF funds to replicate what the pilot teams have already started doing. Right now we have 5 boards who are going to expand out, and that's the rural capital area. So all the counties that surround Austin, Texas, as well as Dallas County, or what we call Greater Dallas. Our Deep East team is out in the Lufkin area, Coastal Bend out in Corpus Christi, and our Heart of Texas team out in the Waco area. Now we're in the process of getting these teams onboarded. We are anticipating that this expansion is just going to continue from year to year. So please keep an eye out for us. Hopefully we will have an education outreach team coming to your area. I do want to say when the teams go out and whether they're working with from students, parents, teachers, counselors, or administrators, everything that we use, all of the resources that we provide are very intentional. Now, part of our services include, showing you our tools, helping students navigate and use them for career exploration and research, but we also bring in any print publications we have that are career readiness specific. In fact, we have, you'll see 2 links here to some digital workbooks that we have on career exploration. Our capital area team created these documents and we digitized them for them. And they were gracious enough to share them with anyone across the state who's interested in using them. So there is a middle school workbook and there is a high school workbook, and all of the exercises that are contained within the workbooks are really focused on helping students explore different careers and pathways beyond high school. The services that we provide on the education outreach side are presentations, workshops, professional development sessions. Sometimes we're even just sharing labor market data with administrators for the purpose of whether it's grant writing or CTE decision making. So I think our, excuse me, I think our resources can help a lot of people. And if you're interested, I need to get a sip of water real quick. Sorry about that. If you're interested in reaching out to our team, you can email us at careerinformation@twc.texas.gov. Now, that particular email address is monitored by the entire team, so it doesn't matter when you send it, somebody's always on call, and somebody will answer your email. All of our, I do want to mention real quick, all of our presentations, the information we share, is specific to the region that we're working with. So that's part of the intentional resources. So when we go out to a specific region, we're sharing the labor market data that's specific to that particular area. Now, when we're in the classroom and we're working with students, this is just kind of a glimpse of what that might look like. So from working one-on-one with students to have conversations about their interests or to facilitate workshops, we run the gamut. All of our specialists are trained to provide super engaging presentations and sessions. We're not trying to send people out to just stand in front of a classroom and talk to kids. We want to be engaging. We want to work with them. We want to do and provide fun activities. So in the top left corner, you'll see a photo from a session that happened over in the Borderplex area, so in El Paso. And in this particular photo, they were discussing a particular industry that is in high demand. And so the kids were out there building rockets and catapults. As part of the discussion, of course, it started with labor market data. On the right-hand side is a middle school classroom down in the lower Rio Grande Valley. And there's two things I want to point out about this particular picture. The first is that these are middle school students. And second, yep, Jasmine was showing you guys in the background, that's labor market data, charts and graphs. And these kids are highly engaged in the activity that they've been assigned to complete using labor market data. So this is just kind of proof in the pudding that we have found ways to make that particular content engaging and relevant, even to middle school kids. All right, next slide, thank you. So sometimes though, our workforce specialists, their job, we wear a lot of hats. And so sometimes our job and our mission is to just connect the dots between education and the world of work with employers and community. And so we attend career fairs all the time. We provide work-based learning opportunities for students where we can. So we are sometimes just the person that brings industry and employment to education or vice versa. And so that's an example on the top left, again, in the lower Rio Grande Valley, students who were visiting a courthouse, and that was one of the judges who was talking to kids about what it's like to be a judge, a day in the life of a judge. On the bottom left is a photo out in West Central Texas. So the education outreach team that's out there decided they were going to have a contest. They wanted to focus on creating career videos to share with students across their particular region. And rather than just finding somebody within their board who could help them build these videos, they decided to let the students take a stab at it, and they built a whole competition around it. It culminated into a community level event, and a local theater offered the space to allow the students to come and actually show their videos. And there were 3 winners selected for the best videos that were created, and the teams of students who participated to create those videos were awarded scholarships. And then on the right-hand side is just an example out in the Borderplex of one of our teams when they go to career fairs. Again, they're trying to make every interaction with students as engaging and fun as possible. So they bring games with them. We take what we call our Selfie Booth with us, and all of our teams are kind of doing the same thing. When we are training teachers, again, we also understand that sometimes professional development feels like a trap. And so we want to make it as fun and exciting as we can. And so we do a lot of collaborative work within our training sessions. As you can see in the photo at the left, we get our participants standing up and moving around, whether it's to play a game, to do a gallery walk and take a look at resources, or to do a gallery walk to take a look at different data. We try to find ways, again, to get that information to teachers, but in a way that's engaging, involves movement, collaboration, partnership. We do a lot of team activities within our sessions as well. So I want to share the data of what our pilot teams have been doing, the number of students that they've been working with, and just the impact that we've had on the community. So we're going to look at some collective data here to date, and just keep in mind this does cover the first 5 quarters. Some of the data is in progress, so these numbers, they're not necessarily set in stone. But one thing I do want to point out is this covers our first 5 quarters, but in that first quarter, school was not in session. These teams were being onboarded over the summer. So our very first quarter, we had 0 data. None of our teams were able to collect data for that first quarter. By the time we hit fourth quarter, our fourth quarter ended March of 2020. So that's all the data, that's where it stops, and then everything is pre-COVID at that point. Obviously, once we hit quarter 5, our teams took a big hit, obviously on our numbers, presentation or engagement numbers, because we were limited then at that point in how we could interact with students. But I'm very proud to say that our teams, we figured out how to pivot very quickly. The digital workbooks that I shared with you guys earlier, the middle school and high school workbooks, we went into lockdown on a Wednesday, and by that Friday, the same week, we released the middle and the high school workbooks. So it was something that we saw what was coming, and we started to prep early. And I'm also proud to say that our teams have been working together. We do a lot of collaboration between our teams, and we are trying to figure out ways and to share best practices, to share resources, to ensure that we are continually reaching out and engaging students every single day. So let's take a look at this data. All right. So for the first 5 quarters, we have the total number of sessions that have been provided. Now, this includes sessions provided to students. It could be a workshop, it could be a presentation, for example, a keynote presentation, or a presentation that is partnered with a career fair. So of our 7 teams, and I do want to also point out, this is data from our 7 pilot teams. This does not include the TWC Education Outreach team. So those 7 teams combined have provided just over 7,000 individual presentation sessions in the first 5 quarters. We've also connected over 160,000 students to what we call employment services. Now, employment services could be anything from training students in how to do resume writing, or prepping for job interviews, or working on soft skills. All of these things we kind of wrap into what we call employment services. And we have, again, engaged over 160,000 students for that particular service. We have also had a discussion with students about all of the post-secondary options available to students beyond high school. So we like to, when we're presenting, we don't say college and then these alternative options. We should say, here are all of your options, because they're all equally viable and valuable. So we talk about registered apprenticeship. We talk about military as a way of training. We talk about workforce training programs through local workforce solution offices, or at community colleges, the workforce training programs there. We discuss going straight into work. We talk about the progression of the pathways through work if you just start on day 1, and what that means, and the difference between education levels. So we try to give a very broad but detailed view of all of the options available to any student beyond high school or beyond the GED. So that conversation we have had with over 150,000 students across the state of Texas. Now, there are 2 key data indicators that we collect now, and what I'm sharing with you is just part of the data that we collect. There are more indicators that I was trying to do like high level, most important kind of thing. But the two, I think, most important key indicators that we select are total number of attendance, or what we call exposure. So it's the head count of any individual who happens to be at an event where one of our education specialists is available, or they're facilitating content. So there is what we call, our trapped audience. But altogether, these 7 regions have had over 250,000 students attend sessions that they have been providing. That's a lot of kids. And so that's the first number that we collect. The second number that we collect in the next slide is our engagement. So we have been exposed to, or we have worked with over 250,000 students, and we have had 244,000 kids that we have had complete engagement with, either at the events or after the fact. So if a student or a parent or a teacher or a counselor, somebody reaches out to us after to get one-on-one meetings with us, or if somebody approaches us at an event to ask questions, when we say we're engaging with students, the engagement number is kids that we are having conversations with. And that's over 177,000 students. Again, and this is just in our first 5 quarters. So needless to say, we are touching a lot of students. We are impacting not just the students, but we know that that impact ripples out and it affects the entire community. Our unofficial model as the outreach team, we like to say that we're helping students reach their purpose with purpose. But ultimately, I think what we're doing is we're helping students make better informed decisions about their lives beyond high school. And again, it impacts not just that student and their family, but it impacts an entire community. And if you talk to anybody on our specialist teams, you will be speaking to the most passionate colleagues I've had the pleasure to work with. We all love what we do. We're all about student success and helping kids as much as we possibly can. So with that, I think Myrna is going to talk to us about the Padlet resources available, but know that we're going to be opening up for questions fairly soon. So if you have questions, please start typing those in our Q&A box so that we can get to those. But Myrna, did you want to let us know about the Padlet?
Irene, you're on mute.
Okay, there you go. All right. Information, you can visit our Padlet, which is the one that you see here. And it provides all the links, the resources, and services that both Lorena and myself have spoken about in today's presentation, as well as some of our educational resources and our access form. So our evaluation form is also there. So we kindly ask that when you have some time before you walk out of our session, just fill that out and provide your very important feedback. But also, I'm just going to briefly touch on how you can do that. If you open up your camera and you point it at the bar scan, it will take you straight to our Padlet.
So we're gonna go ahead and give them about 3 seconds to do so they can do that as well. And Irene, if you can place the link of the Padlet on the chat for those that don't have a cell phone, so they can access it as well as you go through it.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, did that post? Yes, it did. So at the end of our presentation, we'll provide the link information. That's where I posted the Padlet link for just in case you're not able to access that via the card. Okay, I'll go ahead and post that one more time.
Okay, so as Irene is posting that on the chat, Just so you know, guys, we do have all the resources that were spoken about during the presentation in this Padlet. It is very useful. You will have, under the first column, you are going to have the presenter's information. So you're going to have Irene's information and also Ms. Lorena Knight's information. After that, we have the evaluation form. So if you have a chance, which you'll have a couple of minutes after we do the Q&A, if you can go ahead and complete the evaluation form. Below that, if you want access to our district share drives, or which is also our community partners share drive, that has all the resources that we spoke about, our employer interviews, our Google Classroom, our parental engagement drive, and our soft skills drive, you can go ahead and access that or request that information through this access request form. Now, you will have access to all that information, but if you are not from the Lower Rio Grande Valley board, then we cannot provide you any services, but we can connect you with your local board, or if not, with Lorena's team. Are you, can you see the screen, Irene, so you can continue with this?
Yes, I'm actually trying to include that information into
the chat. Okay, so then if you want, I can continue. After that, we do have the resources that Ms. Lorena Knight talked about, which are the intentional resources and digital workbooks. Another one that I want to mention is there's an elementary workbook or coloring book that I had accessed yesterday that has a lot of neat activities for elementary students. So that's also available, and we'll go ahead and include it later on the Padlet. We also have the most popular LMCI tools and resources like the Texas Reality Check website, Texas Career Check, and Jobs Y'all. After that, we do have our Workforce Solutions Lower Rio Grande Valley tools and resources. So our Education Relations Team webpage, our Job Readiness Curriculum website. So we do have the Live Binders website available here for you. So if you want access to that, it's completely free. It's completely customizable. You can access it either through our Google Drive or through our Live Binders. The Live Binders is all PDF, and it does contain all the facilitator notes. Below that, we have the Interview Stream Prep website that students can use. Again, for this one, students can practice their virtual interviews. If they're not from our board area, we cannot complete assignments or create assignments for the students, but they're more than welcome to create it themselves, and they can request feedback from parents, teachers, counselors, anybody that they want to. Unless it's from our region, we would not be able to provide that feedback. So that is another, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry?
Just really quickly. They reposted the link. For some reason, I wasn't able to post it to where you could click on it and go into the page. But I do want to mention there are a few questions with regard to the Job Readiness Curriculum. And the link is also included in this particular Padlet. Just wanted to mention that.
Awesome. So after that, we do have Own It. Own It contains a lot of great information, labor market information in regards to a lot of different careers, and they can narrow it down as well. And then a copy of the presentation. Now, because there are questions in regards to our Job Readiness Curriculum, we can go ahead and show them our Google Classroom really fast. So if you do want access, if you have access to Google, you're more than welcome to request access to our Google Classroom that is just our Job Readiness Curriculum. So in here, we do have all the modules under classwork. They are separated by module, and then it contains all the handouts, activities for the students. So it is not going to contain the facilitator notes because this is specifically for students. If you join as a teacher, you will have the opportunity to duplicate the classroom by, if we go back to classroom, by clicking on the ellipses and then clicking on copy, and then you can rename it to whatever you may need, change or edit or update this information. And it's going to take about 5 minutes for you to do so, for it to duplicate, because of all that neat information that's in there. And after that, you're going to see it on your drive as well. And under classroom, before it used to be blue. Once you duplicate it, it will be gray, because you will have the opportunity to assign it as you may want. If you just want to do the pretest and the nonverbal communication handout, you have that opportunity. So this is super neat. It takes on average about 6 hours to transfer everything over to the Google Classroom. This is going to take you about 5 minutes if you want access to that. Okay, so Irene, let's go back to the presentation.
Yes, there are a few questions that just came in that I kind of wanted to address. One of the questions was, could we get a copy of the job readiness curriculum? As Jasmine mentioned, on our Padlet, we do have a link that you can click on that is available through our Workforce Solutions website, and you can go into that method and access the live dining search version of the job readiness curriculum. There is also another question with regard to the CEUs, that where do they come from and how does the participant use it to show credit. So this is a partnership that South Texas College and Workforce Solutions have come together on, and the CEUs would be coming from South Texas College. But also keep in mind that they have to complete at least 12 contact hours in order for them to receive CEUs.
And just a reminder, the CEUs are only for our area. I know Lori's team. Lori, do you want to inform them what you're trying to do, not in regards to CEUs, but a certificate when it comes to the job readiness curriculum?
Sure. So for your team, for Jasmine's team, right now, they have a certificate that shows CEU credit through South Texas, but they also show recognition. There's a logo for their local SHRM office. So the human resources, I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but because we will cover the whole state, what we're hoping to do, what our team is trying to do, is to get a certificate that is provided with the TWC seal on it, and then the state level human resources, I want to say it's a Human Resources Association. So both of those combined to just say, hey, this particular individual completed all of the lessons, and so they completed it satisfactorily. And so they are recognized by SHRM and they are recognized by TWC. And unfortunately, it's not going to give them the CEU credit, again, because they're, that's a contract, an MOU you would have to create with your local community college. But you could at least get recognition at the state level from SHRM and from TWC. We're in the process of working on it. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but but we are in negotiations. There was another question that someone had on here. I'm trying to find it now.
So I see one, who do we contact to request access to the Google Classroom? There is an access form, again, that is available on our Padlet that you can click on and fill out.
For what it's worth, Myrna, I thought I would mention, just to make sure that it's clear, that these ladies are providing you access to the job readiness curriculum in 2 different formats. So Google Classroom, if you've got it, or you can click in Padlet to the live finder. It's the exact same content with facilitator notes on both. It's just whether or not you have access, you yourself have access to Google Classroom format.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. So that does conclude our presentation. I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our session, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending the 2021 Texas Workforce Commission Virtual Forum. We trust the information was beneficial and will help us better serve the people of Texas. We will see you next year.